What is a monopsonistic market? A monopsonistic market is a market where there is a monopsonist. A monopsonist is a single buyer in a factor market. When you think of monopsony, think of a market. When you think of monopsonist, think of a firm. A monopsony is when there is one buyer facing numerous sellers. In other words, the buyer has significant power over the market. Like I said previously, a monopsonistic market includes a single buyer or another component of a monopsonistic market is that it has low substitutes, meaning that it is mostly inelastic. It is hard for sellers to switch to alternative buyers because of restrictions placed on them. The same concept goes for the monopsonistic labor market. An example would be the NBA. Let's say that you're a professional NBA player. You're only going to be hired through the NBA, a professional sporting organization. Nothing else. That makes the NBA have significant power over your career. Many get confused about the difference between a monopoly and a monopsony. A monopoly is a market where there is a single seller. A monopsony is a market where there is a single buyer facing numerous sellers. In short, it is just the opposite of one another. Because there is only one buyer, this gives them substantial power over the pricing decisions and production levels in the market. This is why a monopsonistic market is an imperfect competition. Let's review. What happens in an imperfect competition? In an imperfect competition, the buyer or seller has power over the prices, quantity, and other market decisions. Production may be differentiated and there are barriers of entry, and information are not equally shared.
Sloping supply curve for labor shows how much people are willing and able to work for. At $1, not that many people are going to go work for this company, but at $500, a whole lot more workers will. Now notice, the supply does not equal the marginal resource cost like it did back in a perfectly competitive labor market. Why? Because this monopsony cannot wage discriminate. When they're hiring one worker for $1, the additional cost of that worker is that $1 wage. However, if I want to hire a second worker for $2, I can't keep paying the first worker $1 anymore and the next worker $2. I got to pay both of them $2. So the additional cost of that second worker is the $2 I have to pay to get them, plus another $1 on the previous worker. I could only have paid $1. So the marginal resource cost of each unit is greater than the wage that they're willing to work for, the supply. Now let's figure out what the equilibrium wage and quantity will be for a monopsony. All firms hire the same spot, which is where MRP equals MRC. Right there. That is the quantity of labor that this firm would hire. Now, how much are they going to pay those workers? Well, they're going to pay them the wage that the worker's willing to work for. In this question, it is $9. That's the wage. They're not going to pay the worker the marginal resource cost because even though that's the cost to hire that worker, the worker's willing to work for $9. I'm going to pay how much you're willing to work for. In a monopoly or in a monopsony, what they're actually doing is not what would happen in a perfectly competitive market. In this situation, the wage in a perfectly competitive market would be here, and the quantity would be here. They're hiring less workers than they would in perfect competition, and they're paying them less than they would in perfect competition.
The reason that the correct answer is D is, again, just to review the entire video, it is because in a monopsonistic market, there is only one buyer and multiple sellers, and the buyer is going to want someone specific, and the sellers just don't have the means to go looking for another buyer. Again, with the NBA example, If you're a professional basketball player, you're going to want to go to the NBA, not any other buyer, because you're a professional basketball player. There is no other organization that is going to hire you. Thank you all for watching my video. I hope you learned a lot. I would say see you next time, but there isn't going to be a next time. Peace out.